One of these could darken the sky for years. We're ranking Earth's volcanoes by sheer destructive power. We're counting down the most devastating volcanoes ever measured, ranked by the Volcanic Explosivity Index in total energy released. The gap between number 10 and number 1 on this list is almost impossible to imagine. Stay to the very end because the number 1 volcano didn't just erupt, it reshaped the planet. We rank these on real eruption data, VEI scores, ejected volume, and global climate impact. No guesswork, no Hollywood, just the numbers. Let's start at the bottom of the countdown. Coming in at number 10, we have Mount St. Helens in Washington state. Its 1980 eruption scored a VEI of 5 and blew off the top 1,300 feet of the mountain. The lateral blast flattened around 230 square miles of forest in minutes. It launched roughly 0.29 cubic miles of ash into the sky. Compared to what's coming, that's actually the small end of this list, but it still stands as the deadliest volcanic event in modern U.S. history. Because if a small one can do that, imagine what number 1 can do. At number 9, we have Eyjafjallajökull in Iceland, the 2010 eruption that broke Europe. It only scored a VEI of 4, but its ash cloud grounded roughly 100,000 flights across the continent. Around 10 million travelers were stranded for days. This one didn't kill people, it paralyzed a whole continent through pure ash disruption. That's why it climbs onto this list. Sheer destructive power isn't only about lava, it's about reach. And every entry from here on hits harder than the last. Number 8 is Mount Vesuvius in Italy, the volcano that erased Pompeii in 79 AD. It scored a VEI of 5, similar to St. Helens on paper, but the human devastation was on another scale entirely. A superheated pyroclastic flow buried Pompeii in Herculaneum in minutes. Around 16,000 people are estimated to have died where they stood. Ash and pumice fell for roughly 18 hours, sealing entire cities under 20 feet of debris. What makes Vesuvius terrifying is that it's still active, with millions living in its blast zone today. Coming in at number 7, we have Nevado del Ruiz in Colombia. From 1985, its VEI was only a 3, which sounds mild until you see the outcome. The heat melted the summit glacier, unleashing massive volcanic mud flows called lahars. A wall of mud, ash, and debris raced 30 miles downhill at highway speeds. It buried the town of Armero, killing around 23,000 people in a single night. It's proof that raw explosive size isn't the only measure of destructive power. Sometimes the mountain doesn't need to explode big to be catastrophic. And speaking of catastrophic, the next one dwarfs it. At number 6, we have Mount Pelée on the Caribbean island of Martinique. Its 1902 eruption released a pyroclastic surge that hit around 670 miles per hour. The town of Saint-Pierre was incinerated in under 2 minutes. Roughly 30,000 people died. Reports say only 2 residents survived the initial blast. It scored a VEI of 4, but the speed and heat made it one of the deadliest eruptions of the 20th century. Do you agree with this ranking so far? Drop your number 1 guess in the comments before we get there, because the next volcano operates on a completely different scale. Number 5 belongs to Nova Rupta in Alaska, the largest eruption of the entire 20th century. In 1912, it scored a VEI of 6 and ejected around 3.4 cubic miles of magma in 60 hours. That's roughly 30 times more material than Mount St. Helens released. It carved out a valley now known as the Valley of 10,000 Smokes. Ash fell as far as Africa. The only reason few people died is that it erupted in near wilderness. Had Nova Rupta gone off under a modern city, it would rank near the very top of this list. Coming in at number 4, we have Mount Tambora in Indonesia from 1815. This is where the numbers start to sound almost fictional. Tambora scored a VEI of 7 and ejected around 41 cubic miles of debris into the atmosphere. The blast was heard over 1,600 miles away. Its ash veiled the sun and dropped global temperatures by roughly 1 degree Fahrenheit. That triggered the year without a summer and 1816 crop failures across Europe and North America. An estimated 90,000 people died from the eruption and the famine that followed. And believe it or not, we're still climbing. At number 3, we have Krakatoa in Indonesia. From the summer of 1883, its final blast released energy roughly equal to 200 megatons of TNT. That's about 13,000 times the power of the Hiroshima bomb. The explosion was heard around 3,000 miles away, making it possibly the loudest sound in modern human history. It generated tsunamis over 100 feet tall that killed around 36,000 people across the region. Krakatoa literally blew itself apart, and the sky glowed red across the globe for years afterward. But the top 2 didn't just destroy cities, they threatened civilization itself. Number 2 on this countdown is Yellowstone, sleeping under Wyoming right now. Its last supereruption, roughly 640,000 years ago, scored a VEI of 8. It ejected around 240 cubic miles of material, a supervolcano in the truest sense. That's roughly 6 times more than Tambora. Ash from that eruption blanketed most of what's now the United States. Experts don't fully agree on the odds of another one, but if it happened today, it could darken skies for years and disrupt global agriculture on a scale we've never faced. Yellowstone earns the runner-up spot for that terrifying potential alone. But what tops a supervolcano? A supereruption. The number 1 most destructive volcano on Earth is Toba, in what's now Sumatra, Indonesia. Around 74,000 years ago, Toba unleashed the largest known eruption in the last 2 million years. It scored a VEI of 8 and ejected roughly 720 cubic miles of magma and rock. That's about 3 times more than Yellowstone's biggest blast. The ash column climbed over 20 miles high, and debris fell as far as East Africa. Global temperatures may have dropped by around 5 to 9 degrees Fahrenheit for years. Some scientists argue it pushed early humans to the brink of extinction, thinning our species down to just a few thousand survivors. 1 volcano, 1 eruption, and humanity nearly ended. That's why Toba isn't just number 1. It's the benchmark for what destructive truly means. Quick recap of the top 3. Krakatoa's world-shaking blast at number 3, Yellowstone's sleeping supervolcano at number 2, and Toba's civilization-threatening supereruption at number 1. Do you agree with this ranking? Or did I put your pick too low? Tell me in the comments. If this one helped you, the ranking of Earth's deadliest natural disasters goes even wilder than this list. Subscribe and turn on the bell. New factual rankings drop every week, and next time we settle an even bigger debate about the forces shaping our planet. Because when the Earth decides to remind us who's in charge, all we can do is measure the aftermath. This ranking is based on general research and is meant to inform and entertain, for educational and entertainment purposes only.